Okay, hey, this is Francisca, and this is my mid-crisis life. Um, I wanted to make a video because the other day someone asked me, someone that I'd never met before, and I was introduced to him by a friend, and he said to me, "Oh, tell me your story. How did you get here? How did you get to be so knowledgeable? You know, tell me." And I thought, wow, there's so much stuff that I could say. There's so many different journeys that I've been on, so many different routes that have consecutively or simultaneously led me to where I am now. And, I'm still on a journey. I'm still learning. I've not peaked for sure. And I think, actually, it says a lot about the video that I made about reaching the top of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Actually, that's just the bottom layer to the new octave of that journey. But yeah, I was thinking, okay, so what is it that I could say? How can I summarize this? And basically what I said was, and I really do believe it, I grew up with two very distorted parents, two very cruel parents, actually, in all honesty. Two parents that were so consumed by their own needs, by their own pain, that they had no space for anyone else's. And on top of it, not only were neglectful in that way, but were also controlling, coercive, emotionally abusive, verbally abusive, very psychologically abusive. And and I just remember my whole childhood, rather than thinking there's clearly something wrong with me, even though obviously as a kid you do internalize a lot of that stuff because you don't have any ability to contextualize what's going on around you, so you don't understand the bigger picture. So it is just kind of like you in your insular world and there is no other answer. So I have for sure done that, and it's been a lifelong battle, to try and overcome some of that stuff. But really, I didn't really think, oh, there must be something wrong with me. And I also didn't think, like, you guys are fucked up. Like, so I didn't, like, externalize it all either and become, like, hateful or bitter towards my parents. Actually, I can just remember from a really young age, instead of thinking you lot are evil, I just used to look at them and just think, you guys, like, you're not okay, are you? Like, you're not okay. There must be, like, something really wrong with you, because I cannot believe this is not how human beings, normal, regulated, like, happy, healthy, loved, normal people, this is not how normal people behave. Like, something must have happened to you that makes you do this. Like, this is not normal. And I just remember knowing that from so young, from before I even remember knowing it. I know that I knew it. Like, I remember knowing it. And I think that kind of, like, innate wisdom that was gifted to me as a really young child, I know for a fact that that got me through real difficulties. And I know that that sparked this desire in me to just want to understand, to just want to understand them, and to want to understand society, and to want to understand other people, and to want to understand, like, people's psyche, like, why do people behave like this, to want to understand, like, human suffering and human behavior, and just understand why people behave the way they do, how people got so broken. And when I say understanding, I'm not talking about like a comprehension. Like, I'm not talking about, you know, intellectual understanding of these things. I'm not talking about, theoretical understanding or psychological understanding. And I'm not talking about comprehending something for like, my own status or my own self gratification, or to be better than anyone else, and to say like, oh, yes, that's certainly some kind of behavioral disorder that she has. I've done the DMSI, whatever fucking thing. Like, it's got nothing to do with that. I wanted to understand, because I knew that somewhere in that understanding that there was truth. I knew that if I could understand this, then I could understand some fundamentals about the world, and not just about this 3D world, but about everything that's within it and everything that's beyond it. I knew that there was truth, and I think that my whole life I've been searching for truth, and not truth as in what's true and false, but the truth, because I know that in the truth lies God. I know that for a fact. And I think I've always known that. And I think it's really important to understand why it is that in the truth lies God. And you can look at it in such a simplistic way. It's as simple as this, right? The ego is a lie. The ego is a lie. The ego is the thing that was created out of some necessity to safeguard yourself, right? There was a moment where being authentically you, was not good enough, was not safe, was not okay. So you created the ego as a superimposed version of yourself to keep yourself safe in that moment, to be okay, to belong, to be accepted, whatever, right? And that's why the ego is a lie, right? The soul is who you authentically are, And the thing is like, I love all souls. And to an extent, I love all egos as well, because I understand that it's just a distortion. It's like a manifestation of something that's maladaptive, that's come out of some kind of trauma. And the bigger the trauma, or the bigger the lie, the bigger the ego, and the harder it is for that person to find themselves again, right? And that's why I think when I look at my parents, I'm like, your ego was so large. And when I say ego, I don't mean like arrogance. I mean this other version of yourselves. And I think I knew that. And I was just like, where's the truth in this? Where's the truth? And the thing is that, like, for example, if I look at my dad, like, I don't know for a fact, yeah, because I'm not him. But what I do know, someone's calling me, that can wait. I'm not him, but what I do believe is the case is that, my dad got born to a very young 18-year-old woman. His dad wasn't really in his life. He got raised by his grandmother because his mum came over in the Windrush. So he had all of that loss there. And then his grandma died before he'd even reached like 7, 8 or something. So he had that loss there. Then he went to his dad's, and then his dad had got a new girlfriend, and then his girlfriend got pregnant, and then his dad didn't want him anymore, so he packed him off to England. So he had that loss there, and then he had the loss of his home, the loss of his country, the loss of his identity. He also had to deal with the pain with the fact that his mum had sent for her boyfriend before she'd sent for her child, and then he turned up as a 10 or 11-year-old in a place that he didn't know, with a person that he didn't know, with a person who didn't know him, who'd never had any experience of raising a child, and he was just told to get on with it. And I know for a fact that every time my dad disowned me as a child, as a adult, hi mom, bye, I know for a fact that all the times that he did that, it was about him trying to have control. It was about him feeling out of control and not wanting to feel that feeling of being out of control anymore. So what he did is he created an ego. He created a personality whereby he would control everyone else. And if he couldn't control you, he would push you away. And ultimately, trying to control you would push everybody away, which was the one thing that he was trying to avoid his entire life. And his ego was so strong that he didn't know this. And that's why I say, like, his soul, that like authentic him, that small child before he'd been through all that trauma, that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful person. And I see every single person, like, I'm so emotional about it, but I really do see every single person as that small young child, like as that like authentic soul. And then I do also love everybody because their ego is just a way of protecting them, right? But I also do feel that the ego is a form of darkness as well, right? It is the darkness that comes in to take you away from the light that you were when you were born into this world, right? And it's like this transfiguration of the authentic self, of the real self, right? This thing that like tells you that you have to, or you should be, or that you deserve to have. And it's like, why does it hit us when somebody is authentic? Because it cuts through all that darkness, right? It cuts through all of that bullshit ego, and it hits you right in your fucking heart. It hits you right in your fucking soul. Like, that's why, you know, like, innately, you know when somebody is fucking authentic, and when someone's talking authenticity, you can feel it in your body, right? Because authenticity is God. Like, it is God speaking through somebody, right? And the thing is like, when you think about that darkness and how the ego brings darkness in, and I just made a video about what you consume, you have to understand that when you're resonating at that certain frequency, when you're consuming and expressing yourself at that certain frequency, when you're feeding that version of yourself, that fake version of yourself, you are drawing to yourself more energy that is of that frequency, that is feeding off of you and feeding you simultaneously. And that's why I say that the ego is darkness. Not that it's that you're dark, but that it brings and that it compounds and it amplifies those pockets of darkness inside of you, right? What have I written here? What is empathy? What is that relevant? Yeah, I don't know what I mean by that. I'll have to figure that out and make another video. So what am I saying? What have I said? What have I spoken about? I don't know. I've spoken about that trying to understand the truth is trying to get closer to God. that the ego is an augmentation of your true self, the authenticity lies within, that the ego compounds and resonates more darkness to come into yourself, and that my parents were pretty fucked up. I think that's pretty much it. Something that I'm grateful for. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that, unbeknownst to me and with absolutely no effort or choice or anything, I, as this incarnation, came into this world understanding some of these deep truths, that I didn't get caught up in the bullshit of someone else's bullshit, you know? And I've been able to break that fucking generational trauma in my family because I was endowed with these gifts right from the beginning. I'm so fucking grateful for that. Like, I see people struggling every fucking day, like with the shit that happened to them, with the things that their parents did, with the things that they didn't get, with the needs that were never met. Like, I understand how fucking painful that is because I went through it, but I cannot imagine how painful it is to live perennially, cyclically, in that pain, like, and never be able to like extricate yourself out of it. Fuck, man, I'm so grateful for that. And I'm so grateful that somehow I have the capacity to be able to see everybody as that fucking soul that they came into the world as. Like, even people that I dislike immensely, people that have been cruel and disregarding and abusive and toxic and all the rest of it in my life, I still see them as their purest self. I still see them as that thing that they came in to the world as before they got fucked up. So yeah, I would invite you to have a look and see if you can see ways that you are, and you know in your body, you can feel in your body that the truth is that you're not acting as yourself. And ways where your ego has taken over, yes, to protect you in that moment in time, but now it's hurting you, you know? See if you can find those and see if you can face them and understand them. Talk to them. Why are you here? What do you need from me in order for me to let you go? And then maybe you can come get out of some of that pattern behavior and maybe, you know, not affect the next generation with the same shit that you were affected by with the generation above you. Yeah, I think that's all.